I don't think Tim cares what anybody thinks about any of this. He doesn't care.
I'm sorry, there's a food chain here and you are not at the top. Shut up. Don't tell me what I said and it came out of my mouth. Don't tell me what I said. I said you look smug.
Okay, at first I didn't understand Tori. When they were saying, oh, she's got alpha tendencies, she's used to running things, and, you know, her husband was sort of worried about whether he'd be able to control her and what would happen in their relationships. And then suddenly to have her have the audacity to talk down to other people and belittle other people, she does not have a leg to stand on when it comes to Cassandra. She does not have a leg to stand on. Cassandra is a better woman than she will ever dream of being. And so the idea that she would think that she is better than Cassandra when her husband has branded her, her husband has manipulated her for everybody to see, her husband has pimped her out to his friend because he doesn't find her attractive, doesn't make sense. Anyway, you can tell, oh, I'm fired up. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. Welcome to my channel. It's your girl Valerie. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight Australia, Season 11, Episode 19. Am I the only one getting whiplash from Ben? Because I really don't get it. I don't understand it. I'm trying my best to understand what's going on with him. I don't get it. He went off after their couch, you know, commitment ceremony thingy, and then he came back, he wrote a song, and then they seemed to have made up, and then after they made up, they fell out because apparently he was being real, he was being genuine, and so she didn't like it, and then suddenly, the following morning, he sends her a basket. I think they're doing this for the drama. I think people have seen that with people like Madeline coming in and people like Ridge coming in, they don't want to sort of fade away into the shadows. So couples are now playing up or are being extra goody-goody so that they get the camera time and they get a storyline that will live on after the show. That's the impression that I'm getting, because otherwise Ben... I can't understand the back and forth. I can't understand the erratic behavior. And I don't even know why. Ellie received that. I don't even know why she received that. I would have sent it back because she didn't want to be with him. She didn't want to spend any time. She didn't want him in the apartment. Why is she accepting his gift? He's written her this poem and he's put in the picture of where the aisle they walked down to get married. He's just playing to her. He's just playing to the audience of one and hoping to win her over while still creating so much drama that, you know, he'll have a following after he leaves the show, because any publicity is good publicity, whether it's good or bad. People always are after attention, and this is what it seems like Ben and Ellie are after now, in the sense that they all want attention. Everybody wants to be the standout couple, wants to be the top couple, in my opinion. Everybody else is getting ready for dinner party number 4. You have Uncle Reg, you know, saying to his wife, if things, you know, get out of hand, just call me and I'll come and sort it out. And I'm like, oh my God, Jack had better not come after Uncle Reg then. Am I the only one who's not buying Sarah and Tim? I get Tim, but I don't get Sarah, because I don't get the sudden turnaround. At one point, she couldn't even stand that man touching her. And suddenly, they are in such a happy place that, you know, they are kissing all the time. They're making out all the time. I am not buying whatever she and Tim are trying to sell, sadly. Something doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that she went from refusing to go on dates with him, refusing to spend time with him, and suddenly she's so in love or whatever she's in with him that she wants to spend time with him. She's always making out with him. Yes, we knew that sexual attraction, but she really couldn't stand him apart from the sex. That's the impression that I got. So the idea that they're all lovey-dovey, they're now the happiest couple ever, I don't get it, and I'm not buying it. The Jaden and Timothy situation, I don't get it. Jaden was there when, you know, Jack made all that drama and he did whatever he did. He never said anything. On the couch, he spoke up for Timothy, but didn't speak up when Jack was being called out. Why? Make that make sense? So sadly, as much as I like him and I like his couple, I don't buy whatever he's trying to sell, because he's selling the "we are better than." And I think this is what is grating Timothy's nerves. The fact that Jaden is coming across as "we're better than you, so you need to look up to us and sort of follow my lead." I think this is why Timothy is upset. And it's going to be interesting at the dinner party to see it all come head to head. So it's dinner party number 4. And first to walk in is Stephen and Michael. they look happy. They are really in a good space. I think especially with sort of Stephen opening up about his dad and receiving comfort from Michael. I think this is one of the reasons why they're in a happy place. They are followed in by Sarah and Tim. And according to Sarah, apparently going on dates and spending more time with Tim is what has made her comfortable. And it's like, buddy, but this is what he was asking for. When he arranged the 4 dates and you didn't rock up, this is what he was asking for. This is what he was aiming for. And if it takes a couple of days to get you on board, wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I love that for you. Then you have Jono and Lauren arrived next. They are they're on their way to recovery because obviously of the incident with Tori and Jack. And Lauren is quick to say that she's not going to say anything. She feels like it's flogging a dead horse because it's not going to make any difference regardless of what she says. So she's learned her lesson and she's going to mind her own business, because even in the group she says that, it's like flogging a dead horse. So I am done with that. I'm going to take several seats and mind my own business. And it's like, oh, that's cute. Next to arrive is Jack and his minion Tori. And so, he's already said he wants to apologize to Lauren, blah, 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 blah. Tori has been coaching him on how to turn things around. She made him rehearse for his performance for her friend, and now she's made him rehearse for her friend on the show. And it's like, oh my God. And I love the fact that Lauren was able to see through it, because you're saying, oh, my mom and my sisters, they would be embarrassed, even my dad, my family. And she said, he's rehearsed this apology. This is not a genuine thing. He's just saying it just because he thinks that's what I want to hear. And so I'm just going to dead it so I can move on with life. And it's like, that's my girl. And the first thing I looked at when he walked in was his trousers, which was 2 sizes too small, according to Lauren. Oh my God. I think Jack has got small D mentality, and so he wants to try and be one of the big boys, and this is why he tries to intimidate the woman and tries to sort of be the alpha when he knows he's not an alpha. He's an insecure little thing. And so for him to say that and to do that doesn't make sense. And so I can't wait to see exactly what happens or what becomes of all this. And so we'll wait. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens exactly and what comes out of this whole thing, because it doesn't make sense. His apology wasn't genuine. Even the experts could see that he was just talking out of the side of his mouth. It doesn't make sense that he hasn't apologized to the people that are there also. I don't get it, unless he apologizes to everyone at the table later. And the fact that he said, I wanted to hear from the other women. So he's sort of saying you were drowning out everybody else. That's why I had to tell you to muzzle yourself so that I could hear everybody else. And it's like, why would you want to hear from anybody else when you've just offended, Lauren? And after all, you're having a back and forth with Lauren. You're not having a back and forth with everybody else. Jaden is making a mountain out of a molehill. I'm sorry. I don't think it's that deep, whatever happened with Lucinda and Timothy, because he was able to redeem himself and he was able to speak to Lucinda's parents. So the idea that Jaden suddenly is the Mr. Know-it-all and needs to have this heart-to-heart with Timothy doesn't make any sense. And for him to say, if a fight comes up, I will be ready for it. And yet he walks in and guess who's standing next to him? Jack. How is he tolerating Jack, but he has all these issues with Timothy? Make that make sense? Timothy did not respect anyone else's wife. Yes, he had a back and forth with Tori. That's because they were having a back and forth, but he never told her husband to muzzle her. So the idea that Jaden is the high and mighty and he wants to correct everybody else, and yet he can't call out his own friends, that doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, next up is Tristan and Cassandra. They seem happy, and they're followed by Richard and Andy, and they seem in a good place as well, which is good because he really was struggling yesterday. So it's nice to see that he's happy today. The audacity. I had no issues with Jaden, but now he's getting on my nerves. I never thought I'd, be Timothy's representative and be championing for him, but the audacity for Jaden to be sandwiched by Tori and Jack and yet be criticizing Timothy and saying Timothy is wasting Lucinda's time, and yet you have 2 people right beside you who are doing exactly the same thing, if not worse. At least Timothy is not manipulating Lucinda. Lucinda still has her free will to do as she pleases. So the audacity for Jaden to sit there and be saying, oh, he gets on my nerves, he's doing this, he's doing you are very protective, but you couldn't protect Lauren when she was being told to muzzle herself. You couldn't protect her for that. You're very protective, and yet you couldn't tell Jack to treat Tori better. When he sat in the group and he told everyone he wasn't attracted to his wife, all of you guys were there. You couldn't be protective, and suddenly you've got a bone to pick with Timothy. I hope Timothy puts him in his place, because I think he's becoming too big for his britches. Sorry. Okay, I don't know, Jaden as a person, but I dislike him. I can't hate him because I don't know him as a person, but I dislike him. I dislike his superiority complex that he suddenly has. The fact that he thinks he and, Eden are in the best place, so he's the best person to give advice. He's being too pompous, and the fall from that, pedestal is going to hurt when things start to fall apart for him. The idea and the audacity to try and tell Lucinda that her relationship is not amazing. And yet you've got people like Tristan and Cassandra. You have the likes of Jack and Tori, his closest buddies, struggling in that experiment. And yet he has the audacity to tell Lucinda that her coupling is not amazing. He can't understand Lucinda telling him that actually we sat down with my dad and he really helped. So why not give them the benefit of doubt and see if Timothy took on board what the dad said? Because all you're doing is you're wanting to make yourself center of attention by trying to sort of show off your manhood. Kudos to, Timothy for saying that. All these dudes with a man bun are a pain in, they think they're Dr. Phil and somebody else rolled into one. Yes, he is right. They think they know more than they do. And it's sad. It's sad that you have these people who are in relationships that might not be as they pretend to be, and yet they are looking down at everybody else and thinking they are better than. I can't wait for Jaden's fall from grace. I really can't. I root for love, but it's too good to be true. It's too good to be true. And the idea that he thinks he can tell Lucinda what's good for her. Please sit down. Please sit down. If you couldn't tell Tori to leave last week, please sit down. Next up is Ridge and Jade. One thing about Ridge is he's always going to say something that diffuses the situation. So it's interesting to see him sort of have a conversation with the girls and sort of explain what they as a couple did, in regards to their confessions. It was confessions week for them. And when the girls asked what exactly was, what did you confess? He kept quiet and allowed his wife to reveal what she felt comfortable with, which I have to give him credit for. I'm always praising Ridge when he does something good. And then, he was sort of commenting that, everybody seems too good to be true. The storm is coming, and you can tell the storm is coming because, people can't be happy like that. And it's such a large group and everyone is doing great. We're doing great. No, they're just being cordial until they get to the dinner party when they're hungry and drunk. And then, you then have Ben and Ellie. Apparently they're coming in separately. And it's like, why the theatrics? They should have just gone home. They should have just, done a Collins and just gone home. They didn't need to come to the dinner party unless she did it just for the attention so that the rest of the girls can drag him fulfilled. So Ellie arrives on her own, and obviously the producers let her arrive first. That way she gets to confide in the girls and tell them exactly what's been going on. I'm surprised she didn't talk about the song unless that bit was edited out, and we didn't get to see it, because she tells them about him sort of having a list. I thought she wrote it down. Turns out he actually had a list that he read out for her and told her everything he didn't like about her. So she has that to work with. You could tell her friends were not happy because she told Lauren and Sarah, and we know they're always ready for battle. They're always on 10 and ready to go. And one thing I like about Lauren is Lauren will always speak the truth. Sarah, I think she thinks she's better than at times. And then Tori, I have no patience for her. And surprisingly, Jono has an opinion. He didn't have an opinion when someone was calling his wife names and was yelling at his wife. No, he didn't have an opinion. But suddenly he's got an opinion about, Ben, that Ben has wasted a good opportunity. This is an amazing, beautiful girl that is wasting away, and he wishes he could slap him metaphorically. And it's like, so you want to slap him, but the one that told you to muzzle your wife, you didn't have energy for that. Make that make sense? Please sit down. I'm not accepting the fake outrage. I think at this point he already had feelings for her and was already thinking of ways of getting her. And so once he found out Ben was out of the way, he sort of stepped up. I I have no respect for Jono. Sadly, I have no respect for Jono at all, given how he treated his wife, and yet he's got time for other people's wives. I hate this because when Ben arrives, everybody keeps quiet and starts staring at him uncomfortably. And for me, I don't like it in the sense that people have taken sides. Yes, he's wrong, but I give credit to people like Andy and Michael because they stepped up and they greeted him and made him comfortable, because it really was very awkward because obviously Ellie had the opportunity to go around and tell everybody else what was going on. And so people had taken sides with her without knowing the full picture, which is really bad. I think people should have been unbiased, and then they should have sort of sat the two of them down and found out exactly what was going on. Yes, he's wrong, but still, the way they treated him, I didn't like it. Anyway, dinner is served, so here the fireworks are about to start. It's the audacity of people to think that they're better than. I did say this, that Jaden is coming across as better than. And for him to try and hold Timothy's feet to the fire and say, you're not giving Lucinda what she deserves, you need to give her what. You are sitting with your friends that have not made out past first base for 6 weeks. And he's disrespected his wife and pimped his wife out to his friends. And yet you have the audacity to look at Timothy and say, Timothy, you're not giving Lucinda enough. Maybe start at home. Maybe start with Jack. Maybe tell your friend to behave himself better. Maybe tell Jono to behave himself better, instead of you running around and trying to rile up Timothy. Timothy lost his temper and he had had enough. Even I had had enough. I'd had enough. Because for Jaden to sit there and say everything he was saying, and for Eden to sit beside him and not try and sort of tell him to stop, didn't make sense. They only get to see and hear what the couple want them to see and hear. They don't stay with Lucinda and Timothy 24/7. So the idea that he suddenly has all the knowledge and all the wisdom because he and Eden are our top couple doesn't make sense to me. I think he's very pompous. I think he needs to calm down. I think Timothy is right to say he thinks he's, part of the Mafs royal family just because his brother was on the show before. I've said this before, and yet he needs to calm down. I can't wait for something to happen to his couple to humble him, because things have been going smoothly and suddenly he thinks he's the man. He forgets that he slept with his ex's best friend in front of her. Suddenly he's got the wisdom to be telling Timothy what is right and what is wrong. Please sit down. I don't have time for you and I don't have patience. I give Lucinda a lot of credit because she fought for her man and said, we are doing great. If I tell you we're doing great, then believe me that we're doing great. And so I think Timothy developed a lot of respect for Lucinda because of how she handled it. She wasn't screaming and shouting like him and losing her temper. She was very calm. And Kaz was like, Timothy and Lucinda are grown-ups. Why are people involving themselves in grown-ups, problems? They know what they're doing. That said, irregardless of the fact that he told Lucinda, don't talk to me or anything, he's always treated her with respect. He's never disrespected her in front of everyone. Whereas you have God Almighty Jack sitting there disrespecting his wife, and Jaden doesn't have the audacity or the voice to speak up. I am here for Lucinda, because this is why I said that Timothy got the wife he needed. Not the wife he wanted, but the wife he needed. Because Lucinda sat him down and actually had a conversation about everything that happened and told him that whatever you're doing paints a picture about you. Do you want people to see you as the angry man who bangs the table, who screams, who shouts? And it was amazing. Even the experts were like, wow, because he was then able to listen to her, and you could actually see him smiling and say, nobody gets to speak to me like that except for you. I have a lot of respect for you. And it's like, wow. The fact that he's listening to her, and not only listen, he's actually actively listening. He's not listening to respond, but he's actively listening to understand what she's saying and sort of process it and then come out with a response. Oh my God, I love that. If that's how Ellie had behaved with her husband, then I would say, yes, Ben is wrong 100%. But because she wanted to be confrontational and have the group back her up, whereas Lucinda wanted to let her partner know that I am here with you, I support you, but I don't agree with A, B, C. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm here for Lucinda and Timothy. I love them and I'm so happy for them. I think Here's my thought. I think Tori wanted to be involved in the Jaden situation. And because Jaden and, Timothy had that blowout, she was trying as well to try and humble Timothy. And so this is why she started picking at him, trying to criticize him for every single thing until she upset him to an extent that he would react the way he had reacted with Jaden. And so this is why she started talking about, how did things change? How did you go from saying that, I don't want to talk to you to suddenly you and your wife are in the best of places? And you went, well, your husband said muzzle your wife to somebody. How did things change for the two of you? How did you come back from that? And so the fact that he was holding the mirror up to her and had very good comebacks is what annoyed her. And she kept trying to get under his skin, and she couldn't do that. For someone who bragged about being paid big bucks to get under grown man's skin, and for her to struggle to do that, was very interesting to see. And this is why she kept going. And in the end, Cassandra had to say, you need to leave this man alone. That's his face. Why are you telling him that he looks smug? That's how he always looks. And it's like, oh, well, you're Timothy. I think she wanted everyone to back her. I think she wanted to keep going at him until she upset him. And because she couldn't upset him and he had been pacified by his wife, and you could see even Andy was sitting next to him, and Andy was agreeing, even though she didn't vocalize anything, but her facial expressions and her non-verbals, you could see she was agreeing with every single thing Cass was saying. And so for the audacity, it's the audacity for me, the audacity that she tried to provoke this grown man, didn't have the response that she wanted. And then when people started to speak up for this man, she then told them they were the bottom of the food chain and she was at the top, and had the audacity to insult poor Tristan, who was just sat there with his wife and was very uncomfortable with the back and forth. She tried to scream and Kaz was very quiet. Oh, she's always very quiet, and all she could do was speak up to support. Yes, maybe some people just don't want to speak just for the sake of speaking. Maybe they only want to speak when they're actually there to make some changes or to make a point. And so it makes you look like an idiot when you're saying that you're at the top of the food chain, when your husband has said he doesn't find you attractive, when your husband has pimped you out to his friends, when your husband has been derogatory and he's branded you, and then you have the audacity to tell everybody that you're at the top of the food chain. Please sit down. We're not here for that. We don't have time for that nonsense. We do not have time for that nonsense. And so I don't get what she means by, oh, she annoys me. She's always annoying. She was looking for an excuse to be angry with Cassandra. Sadly for her, the majority of the viewers love Cassandra and they despise her. So this has just put her further into people's bad books, because she's come for someone who has not had any drama with anyone. And the fact that Cassandra made her point and then turned back to her husband and the people around them annoyed her, because then she looks very smug now that she said that she looks, and it's like, so what do you want her to do then? Do you want her to do cartwheels? Do you want her to kneel at your knees and praise you when she was comforting you after your husband spoke about pimping you to people? You didn't see anything bad about that. Now because she's decided to support somebody else, oh, why did she do that? Oh, she's at the bottom of the food chain. I'm at the top. Don't come for me because you're not my level. And it's like, oh my God. Oh my God. What makes you think she's not on your level? This lady is more intelligent than you. She's more articulate. She's more composed. She's more empathetic, caring, compassionate. And she's there with her husband, working hard for her marriage. Her husband has never once said anything derogatory towards her. Yours has said so countless times. So the idea that you think that you are better than her and you'd want to talk down to her, I do not get it, and it winds me up. Anyway, I digress. Thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 18. Bye guys.